All right, all right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game. This game is going to be between the Deathnote and InsoliTe. I don't have no idea if I'm saying that right at all, but yeah. Anyways, let's go ahead and break things down here. Deathnote spawning as the teal human player over here on the bottom left-hand side of the map here of Secret Valley. Meanwhile, on the top right hand side of the map, we have InsoliTe. I'm just gonna call him InsoliTe. Well, Twitch chat can let me know if I am butchering his name. YouTube chat will probably let me know if I'm butchering the name as well. My apologies. I don't know. I don't know if I have some sort of like reading issue in terms of like recognizing characters and actually pronouncing things. Something that I've found as I'm trying to help my daughter through those things, and recognizing that I have to slow down and learning new ways to actually read, to teach my daughter to read and pronounce things correctly. So I don't know. Sometime it was brought up in chat sometime, like, "Hey, Crota, do you have some sort of learning learning disability, or do you have some sort of undiagnosed disability?" And I'm like, well, if I'm undiagnosed, then that I wouldn't know. If I'm self-diagnosed, I'm highly inaccurate as I'm not a doctor. And for some reason, a lot of people like to say that they got their medical degree from Google, University of Google. Yeah, I don't know if I definitely did not get my medical degree from the University of Google. I've gotten no degree from the University of Google. Making our ways around here. Archmage going to go ahead and pop back out. Deathnote opening up with the Archmage. It is going to be going up against a Dreadlord first. All right, Dreadlord first. Not your typical run-of-the-mill hero by any stretch of the imagination, and they will be making their rounds out. Archmage, get some damage onto that Acolyte. Acolyte actually getting in a good amount of pathing. All right, you can see that the Acolyte's already down to 97 hit points. It looks as though that Acolyte going to be able to get away. And now, well, in comes the Militia, going to try to hamper down onto that Null Warden. Null Overseer, Water Elemental now taking a bit of that damage. Down goes that Null Warden there. This 5-3-3 creep camp, making that Archmage, well, just shy of level 2. Meanwhile, Dreadlord first opening things up. He opted to go for sleep and looks as though he is going to try and go after this over Warrior Creep Camp. Blight now placed down. Ghoul is going to go after that Forest Troll Shadow Priest. The Ghouls have a little bit more tankiness against all of these trappers here. Acolyte not yet summoning onto that gold mine. Finally summoning that gold mine there, and perhaps going to be summoning up a Nerubian tower as well, as expansions could get underway. All right, a lot of damage to be absorbed. Archmage already at level 2 has enough mana for a third water elemental if it tries to clear out this expansion on the side as well. Well, always a little bit of a dangerous proposition if you don't know what your opponent is going for. The Footman of Deathnote should have scouted out that Dreadlord though, and should perhaps suspect that there is an expansion underway. Bloodlusted Forest Troll Trappers do deal large amounts of damage with that faster attack speed. We're looking at the remainder of this Ogre Warrior Creep Camp getting cleared out. Archmage will get to level 3 and may try and push with a level 2 Water Elemental here. Forest Troll Trapper gets taken down. Manual of Health now picks up a Boots of Speed, Staff of Teleportation, and where is he traveling to next? He needs to punish InsoliTe's expansion. At the very least, make it so that it delays its return on investment, and that does seem to be the plan. But the question is, what can he really do here? All right, we do see Wand of Mana Stealing. Dreadlord nearby has a lot of mana. That is incredibly important, as we do see sleep on that Dreadlord, as that Water Elemental could turn around, just get a little bit of splash damage or water damage onto that low hit point Ghoul, and also prevent it from regenerating. All right, there's that sleep now. Archmage, is he gonna? Yes, he did use a Wand of that Wand of Mana Stealing for one charge already. Drop another Water Elemental. Is he gonna be able to drop another Water Elemental there? That's gonna be the question. There's the Staff of Teleportation. Are we gonna see a sleep? We are, and Deathnote is in some serious trouble again. Is he gonna be able to break free? Drop another Water Elemental, perhaps? Who's gonna win out in the war there? Wow, down to 12 hit points. Carry on Swarm. He tried to double down. finish off the Archmage. Archmage, however, able to get back. The problem is that Archmage has no ways to easily heal aside from the fountains of health on the corners. And, well, we've already seen that Carrion Swarm nearly take down the Archmage. Is that perhaps going to try and happen again? Deathnote playing on, well, the edge of his pants right now, or playing on the edge of a sword, highly dangerous to try and use this opportunity to clear out creep camps when the Archmage himself is, well, was sub 20 hit points. All right, Archmage, I'm going to try and back away. You see Goblin Alchemist now coming across here. We're going to see some healing spray. That's exactly what the Archmage wanted. Gets sitting underneath that healing spray. Also picks up a potion of greater healing. So in a great spot right now. Are we perhaps going to see some more healing as well, as the Archmage does want to try and clean up that expansion here? There's some more healing spray. Archmage now up to, what, 230 hit points, picks up a Tome of Intelligence. Archmage could be in trouble. Are we going to see some damage? There's a sleep, and now we're going to see some damage perhaps go down onto those ghouls. Archmage does have a potion of greater healing, down to 283 hit points. We're going to see some more damage. There's some more sleep. The Water Elemental should be able to pick apart many of these ghouls, and Archmage has the potion of greater healing, should be able to use that here. There's another healing spray again, down to 80 hit points, and now going to go ahead and use that. So far in a decent spot here, trying to pick off ghoul after ghoul, and does take down quite a bit. Our Alchemist gets up to level 2 during all of this, and perhaps InsoliTe did not see what exactly that was. Are we going to see a deny? We are. The Goblin Alchemist did not use Chemical Rage in order to get there. Okay. How are you doing? Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. However you may be watching, know that you are supporting the channel, and while keeping the, well, I guess not really keeping the hopes of a middle-aged man alive into streaming, but sharing a passion project after so many years. All right, Acolytes trying to back away here. Double Nerubian Towers going straight after the Footman. We're going to be looking at, well, the Alchemist could be in trouble here, or the Archmage. Alchemist ends up being the one surrounded. Are we going to see a Staff of Teleportation in order to teleport away? And yes, he is going to be doing exactly that. Down to 28 hit points, and backs away in time. The Priest needs to give in some preferential treatment now, as another ghoul gets taken down. Necropolis is done. We are looking at 1/5 mining here at the expansion, as well, the Footmen are going to be cleaned up. All right, couple more Acolytes going to get taken down. There goes another as well. 700 gold versus 400 in the bank. Deathnote with a slight supply advantage. Water Elemental trying to finish off some of those ghouls. Those ghouls, however, while on Blight, and also using the Rubian Towers to, well, slow down those Water Elementals, should be safe. Archmage is slowly transitioning over to Rifleman, as we are looking at Priest joining in on the fight as well. We see Acid Bomb as that second ability, not the Chemical Rage. Acid Bomb incredibly important if you are trying to well, focus down those low hit point ghouls. Remember, we do not have Death Coil yet, so without a Death Knight, there is not going to be a big burst heal. We are getting up that Altar of Darkness again. Remember, it was unsummoned earlier to try and set up this expansion slightly faster. The Necropolis will be able to easily train up a large, or another Acolyte here, and then fully saturate this mine. Meanwhile, a large number of ghouls just lumber harvesting now, trying to buy time any way they can. We're going to see a couple of Priests here. We do see a couple of Priests in behind. There's that Carrion Swarm dealing good amount of damage there. Level 2 Carrion Swarm finding its target. Perhaps the Alchemist needs to get up and try to do a little bit of healing spray again, as we're looking at some of those ghouls looking to back away. Acolytes trying to repair the Necropolis now. Necropolis, we're already at full saturation, so there's really no need. And Deathnote spending so much time and effort trying to take down a Necropolis with piercing magic and hero damage, that is just not going to really turn out well. More repairs underway, and InsoliTe perhaps thinking, you know what, if you want to go for a base trade, I can do exactly that. I'm up a base right now, so Let's see how this goes down. All right, are we going to see a mortar team escape? Yes, we are. Mortar team going to go ahead and escape. Ghouls are just going to run on in. We do not have the ghoul frenzy, so the ghouls are not able to really rush past until we do get the Black Citadel and that final upgrade. And are we going to perhaps line things up? There goes a big line up there. 1 peasant, 2 peasant, 3 peasants already down. A Dreadlord sitting at level 4. Vampiric Aura. More gold going to be lost here. Mortar team taking down InsoliTe expansion. Rifleman trying to shoot down, finish off the Acolytes here. Archmage is still sitting at level 3. Could get to level 4 based on the remaining Acolytes. Needs just a little bit more and will get to level 4 for that level 2 Brilliance Aura. Meanwhile, Scroll of Town Portal now retreating back. Dreadlord out of mana. Are we going to see him try a trap back in? There's a Carrion Swarm. Level 4 now on the Archmage. The Ghouls are fighting back. Mortar team's able to lob in some attacks. And the Dreadlord is now trapped. Well, is he trapped with nowhere to go? He is. All right. That one mortar team able to block the door. Alchemist gets up to level 3. Ghouls are trying to make their way in. We are looking at some big heals. Are we going to see some healing spray as well? Healing spray straight up onto that mortar team to try and keep things into that, or keep things right there. And that mortar team looks like it will be able to survive taking down the Dreadlord at level 4. InsoliTe did end up losing the expo. However, a lot of Deathnote's workers were lost as well. How many? Well, it says there's 13, but I don't see a single worker anywhere, and we don't have 75 gold. So no peasants to be trained. That is a major setback. Archmage needs to sell in order to just train up a single peasant and slowly but surely perhaps try and rebuild. If InsoliTe was actually keeping track of how many workers there were, taking down this peasant again could be a very, very big deal, as anytime you're able to prevent peasants. Oh, he needs one more bag of gold, and then he'll be able to train up another one. And now the militia trying to run away. All right, coming back, mortar team gonna go ahead and take down this Nerubian tower here. And I've never seen a game so based on economy. All right, in comes the Ghouls. The Ghouls need to try to swarm in here. A little bit of a misstep by InsoliTe. He needs to move past and then get a large amount of surface area onto this building. Well, there's a surround here. Archmage could be in trouble. Are we going to see him wait? Should see a Staff of Teleportation. There is that Staff of Teleportation outbound. Low hit point Ghoul down to dead, as the Staff of Teleportation allows the Archmage to escape. Back off to the north here. Mortar team, Rifleman, Alchemist leading the charge against the Black Citadel. And InsoliTe now being forced to retreat all the way back home. Do we see that Ghoul Frenzy being researched? We do. Faster movement speed and attack speed now. They're going to be running onto those targets as we see Acolytes trying to repair, but against those mortar teams, it does not look like it will hold round after round. Is it holding steady? Oh my, no, it is not holding steady. I thought perhaps just enough to hold steady. One Acolyte was left behind on the gold mine. Perhaps that is what did it in, as now we're looking at the mortar team trying to finish off some more of these buildings here. Archmage heading back off to the north. Death Knight. Well, Ghouls do have that Ghoul Frenzy upgrade, which is important for that tier 3. Those Ghouls are, well, significantly stronger attack significantly faster and move significantly faster. Meanwhile, Deathnote still trying to rebuild his lost economy, getting up another peasant now, trying to get fully saturated. All right. Alchemist, Rifleman making their way through. Haunted Goldmine about to get taken out. Rifleman gonna get in some pressure here. There's some healing spray. Ghouls making their way over. Rifleman perhaps are gonna shoot down some of those obsidian statues. And we see a Carrion Swarm ripping on through. Doesn't hit the lower hit point mortar teams, though, as the mortar team's taking a little bit of damage. That could be bad news as well, as the obsidian statue is trying to retreat back away. Surround onto the Archmage. Archmage does have a potion of invulnerability, as we're going to see an obsidian statue getting taken down. One obsidian statue down. Dreadlord running low on mana. A second obsidian statue could get taken down. It falls. All right, so major economic loss here. Mortar team's trying to retreat away. Dreadlord gets up to level 5. No way to regenerate mana, as we see a big healing spray there. Alchemist down to 200 hit points. It looks like he's going to fall. Alchemist falls at level 4. All right, so Alchemist falls at level 4. More Ghouls are getting trained up. Archmage is now at level 5. Big Carrion Swarm ripping through. And, well, the AoE damage of InsoliTe's Dreadlord is absolutely huge, but with no real way of getting additional mana, that could be the downfall here. There goes another mortar team here as the Dreadlord trying to hold steady this position. Low hit point ghouls gonna get picked apart. Triple water elementals all the way. What does it mean? It means a bunch of dead ghouls, even with that damage reduction. 28 supply compared to 21 right now. Acolytes, well, scurrying away. Water elementals down to 2 now as the Dreadlord, oh, the Dreadlord could get very close to level 6. Very close to level 6. Necropolis going to go ahead and get resummoned here. We're looking at that water elemental. He's going to turn into a puddle. And this water elemental here, the level 3 variety, going to give a decent amount of experience to that Dreadlord. Dreadlord up to 1875. Oh, because he was not at tier 2 or tier 3, there was no tier building. He ends up not getting the bonus experience that I was expecting. Now, how is this going to unfold? A Dreadlord needs 125 more experience and then we'll get to that ultimate ability. Scout Tower trying to upgrade. Ghouls trying to rush on by, and here we go, going straight after the Archmage. No, could go straight after the Rifleman. One Rifleman already down. Perhaps going to go after some additional easy targets. There is Vampiric Aura as well, so we're looking at some easy damage here. Meanwhile, Dreadlord, Carrion Swarm ripping on through. That is going to be a bunch of dead peasants as the Dreadlord now gets to level 6. Dreadlord at level 6 needs to stay away from the Arcane Tower. Arcane Tower can feed back that Dreadlord, removing a lot of that mana. There's a Carrion Swarm instead, doubling down on taking down peasants, but Deathnote does have enough. Enough to keep on training more of those workers here. All right, Lumber Mill, needs to get taken down. That will easily get taken out as the units try and retreat back once more. 14 supply compared to 26. We are extremely low on the supply count right now. Acolytes are mining. We can see Graveyard there. More ghouls are getting trained. 28 over 60 supply. Dreadlord needs to retreat back home. We never saw a Death Knight to be added, and now we need to see an upgrade from Necropolis to Halls of the Dead to get back to tier 2. Dreadlord will get back onto Blight. You should see a decent regeneration now as he's back on Blight, as there are a fair number of ghouls here, but those ghouls are, well, not long for this world. I'm going to see a surround here. Yes, surround onto this water elemental. Water elemental going to end up easily finishing off, I believe, 2 ghouls. No, 1 ghoul. That ghoul, oh, he was trying to devour his friend, cannibalize his friend in order to stay high on hit points. Meanwhile, Dreadlord making his rounds back around here, down to 110, 112. Are we going to see some damage? Well, low hit point ghoul down to 20 hit points. Needs to get back onto Blight here. Are we going to see a surround? We're still seeing more of these units, perhaps trying to retreat back away. Dreadlord could be in trouble. Dreadlord now trying to retreat back again. Low hit point ghoul getting back up onto the high ground. And well, did it just get shot? I'm not sure who got the experience there. Didn't see the animation. As the Dreadlord back onto Blight, we need to see an Obsidian statue to provide some healing. Lumber seems to be plentiful right now. There's not even a graveyard for the ghouls to try and cannibalize if they are low on hit points. And we are teching the tier 2. Oh, do you need an tier 2 to train an Obsidian statue? Very rarely does this come up, needing tier 2 to train up from the slaughterhouse an Obsidian statue, but that might actually be the issue right here. All right, InsoliTe running around with all of these frenzied ghouls. 1-0 upgraded. Invul Potion, Circlet of Nobility, perhaps going to make its way back down here. Goblin Alchemist now gaining a little bit more experience as well. And we're looking at Deathnote trying to get, well, going on his economy once more. Dreadlord does have a decent amount of mana. He's going to perhaps rush in, drop in an Infernal. And by dropping in an Infernal, being able to deal quite a bit of damage here. All right, what is going on here? How come? Oh, the fall. All right, there's a summon. It's going to go ahead and take down that water elemental right there. and then from here, perhaps try and take down all of these peasants. All right, so the peasants no longer able to mine anymore. Dreadlord trying to back away. Peasants are going to try and heal. There goes another peasant again. So each peasant so valuable as the Dreadlord retreats back. Doesn't have a potion of mana. If it did, it most likely would try to come back in, try to get in another carry-on swarm across all of these units here. Alright, so still continuing to fight back here. Try the Inferno with its, well, immolation and trying to prevent any of these peasants from being able to mine right now. And this is purely a game of economy. 3,900 gold left compared to 1,200. A drastic difference in the amount of gold mined simply by harassment. Also, remember, InsoliTe also had this expansion here for a bit of time, mining an additional 2,000 gold out of this gold mine as well. Alright. Are we at tier 2? Yes. We getting a Death Knight? No, not yet. What are we waiting for? Perhaps a bit of gold in order to get a Death Knight to support. Death Knight with Death Coil should be able to give that Dreadlord plenty of mana. Meanwhile, or sorry, plenty of hit points. Meanwhile, we need to see an Obsidian statue. We still have not seen one, as the Halls of the Dead not positioned in the right spot. All right, down goes, well, the Tomb of Relics right there. Ghouls now trying to make their way around. And then that slower hit point, Archmage double backs around the other way. Acid Bomb onto a low hit point, or onto a Ghoul, which will be low hit point pretty quickly. Still nothing here, so nope, not quite sure why we upgraded the tier 2 if we weren't going to go for a Death Knight. There goes another Ghoul again. And that negative armor, meaning that they're just taking additional damage over and over as well. Tomb of Relics trying to get resummoned here. More ghouls. Well, ghouls and just ghouls on top of ghouls constantly, as we're waiting for another, perhaps another infernal spawn to be summoned from that Dreadlord. All right, Rifleman about to get taken down. Rifleman does get taken down here. Ghoul's going to try and swarm here. Rifleman trying to, well, focus fire those ghouls one at a time. Invul Potion transfer. Invul Potion used by the Dreadlord again, as the Dreadlord, well, if it can kill a couple more units, should be able to get to level 7 and have enough mana to perhaps summon up another Infernal. All right, the Tomb of Relics isn't going to get in time. No, not in time. Did the Dreadlord pick up a potion of mana? No, not in time either. Nerubian Tower, what is going on here? Dreadlord just trying to hold on ever so barely. Alchemist down to 616 hit points. He's completely surrounded. Gets up to level 5. Level 3 healing spray to try and keep him alive. Scroll of Town Portal now being used as the Alchemist down to 51. No! 51 hit points and unable to get away. Talk about some close calls right there. Resummoning up that Tomb of Relics again. Still not getting up a Death Knight for some big burst heals. Dreadlord staying on a Blight, while also InsoliTe setting up an expansion here at the 3 o'clock spot.
A player's forces are under attack.
Getting gold any way you can, including clearing out simple creeps. Cloak of Shadows, that could be picked up, sold. Acolytes could make their way down to the 3 o'clock expansion location. Meanwhile, only about 3.5 minutes of mining left for Deathnote as at his base. Goblin Alchemist getting resurrected. Deathnote trying to hold on here. Apparently not liking that frog. More priests getting trained. They do have adept training, and both sides have just been, well, trying to destroy each other so much and taking so many losses consistently. Alright, still no Obsidian statue. Still no Death Knight. Not quite sure what to make of that tech to tier 2. Rebuilding that Tomb of Relics, that necropolis was also built in a weird spot, so it wasn't able to offer protection during that earlier battle. 38 supply compared to 27. How is this all going to unfold now? Ghouls making their way across. Dreadlord trying to put in pressure. This front door is going to be difficult to breach, especially with that arcane tower. Are we going to see a carry-on swarm? Nope. First an Infernal, and there's a carry-on swarm to follow it up. And that Infernal 1-2 combination, very nasty. Nearly able to take down a couple of those riflemen already. Does take down a couple. Dreadlord does get another carry-on swarm now. And we're looking at the Dreadlord purposely backing away. Goblin Alchemist back here on the battle. Healing spray just in time by the Alchemist in order to, well, prevent the death of a bunch of militia here. There's another carry-on swarm ripping on through as the Infernal quickly gets taken down. Goblin Alchemist is at level 5. Archmage is on the cusp of level 6. There goes another Arcane Tower. And the units are once more simply going to retreat. All right, there goes one ghoul again. Goblin Alchemist, even if it gets to level 6, will not really have any good targets for that transmute ability, as InsoliTe only has mass ghouls. All right, more ghouls getting trained. Nothing getting trained out from there. And it's going to be another 2 minutes before... Oh, there's an obsidian statue, finally. Before we see another Infernal perhaps being summoned. Archmage picking up a Scroll of Town Portal out of necessity, apparently. Perhaps he's going to try to set up an expansion somewhere as well. InsoliTe still mining, getting 600 gold a minute, as I believe that is where Deathnote is going to travel to next. All right. Quickly checking that expansion location, picks up a Scroll of Healing to try and counteract that carry-on swarm. Dreadlord is nearby. Obsidian statue is here. One Nerubian tower. This is the fight for all the marbles, so to speak, as the Dreadlord... Are we going to rip a carry-on swarm? That was a perfect lineup for a carry-on swarm at the very start, but those casters were not there yet, so there's that carry-on swarm that we were talking about, or I was talking about. Dreadlord can engage. There's a sleep to counteract the healing spray as the Dreadlord trying to make its way back over. Are we going to see another carry-on swarm rip on through? There goes 4 casters, and the healing spray just not fast enough. Deathnote's army suddenly shrinks. Back-to-back carry-on swarms, and a well-timed sleep ensures the death of all of those casters. Deathnote forced to retreat, and that is not something he necessarily wanted to do. He knows that time is not on his side, especially as this gold mine is running out of gold. The priests need to get trained up here. Losing two priests and 2 sorceresses were a major setback, and now being forced to wait for the priests to make their way out to get in some big heals. Obsidian statues on the move here. Well, summing up a Tomb of Relics. 2 obsidian statues providing support. Dreadlord needing a little bit, or is he going to summon up another Infernal? Yes, does summon up another Infernal right there. Going to prevent a lot of the mining again. Militia trying to take this down, and the Infernal with decent armor and that immolation really preventing Deathnote from being able to do any serious mining. The Dreadlord can just hang back a little bit here, perhaps stay next to the obsidian statues, get a little bit more gold, and then perhaps try and engage here. There's a Scroll of Healing used there. Dreadlord, there's a carry-on swarm, but healing spray more than enough to counteract as wave after wave prevents. All right, are we going to get level 6 now onto the Archmage? I do believe so. Level 6 on the Archmage. And is that going to turn into mass teleport? Well, it does not look like Deathnote knows what he wants to do. No, yep, it does go mass teleport. So we're seeing some damage onto that obsidian statue. Dreadlord doesn't have enough mana. We're seeing a, well, acid bomb there. There goes another ghoul. Unit still chasing after all of these targets here. Those obsidian statues need to be extremely careful. Staff of Teleportation outbound, picking up perhaps, yes, a potion of mana, and now wanting to regroup here, but these obsidian statues could be in trouble. All right, down to 144 hit points. They are not moving quickly, and without the Death Knight, well, there is... without the Death Knight, they don't have Unholy Aura to try and get some regeneration going. Meanwhile, these peasants, there is a couple of forest trolls here, and those forest trolls, well, will try and stop those peasants when the time comes. InsoliTe Is he going to try and defend this expansion? No, he isn't. 49 supply compared to 33. Perhaps he believes that he has more than enough to finish off his opponent. There goes a Carrion Swarm taking down that one sorceress, and now perhaps going to try and take down more of these buildings down to the south here. All right, unsummoning the buildings. Acolytes trying to make their way back off to the north. Still nothing at this Altar of Darkness. Destroyer form now getting upgraded as we're looking at, well, mass teleport inbound. All right, obsidian statues could get taken down. One obsidian statue. Well, one obsidian statue down. Goblin Alchemist trying to keep the army alive here. Healing spray. Water Elemental going to take down the other obsidian statue. 41 supply compared to 31. Carrion Swarm ripping on through. Ghouls, 1-0 upgrade trying to take down targets. Rifleman trying to focus down these ghouls. And so much healing with that vampiric aura. Just time and time again. And it's still a much larger standing army as ghouls are now trying to retreat. The militia adding a little bit too much damage to be able to fend off the attack. And, well, it looks like Deathnote is going to hold again. 31 supply compared to 26 after all this time. Goblin Alchemist now sitting at 5 2/3. Hero at 5 2/3 level. And what is going on here? Deathnote just holding on, not giving up. It is going to be nearly daybreak. That means that the gold mine, well, Dreadlord is going to find a couple of these peasants here. Are these all just going to get cleaned up, taken down? There's Carrion Swarm. Some more death there. Another ghoul going to get taken down. These ghouls also perhaps going to get taken down. They're trying to retreat back. Army is mass teleport inbound. That peasant. In comes the army. Archmage trying to come over to support. And will be able to do exactly that there. A couple of peasants now back, well, trying to hide at the keep. Not wanting to venture too far away. What can InsoliTe do at this stage? Summoning up some more obsidian statues. Couple of mistakes. InsoliTe trying to go for destroyer form. That does seem as a bit odd. Perhaps that destroyer form, we haven't seen a single destroyer yet, and he is at tier 3. So remember, it's not just the destroyer form; it's that upgrade from Necropolis up to tier 3. Yeah. Well, I guess he did buy some potion of manas. So upgrade from Halls of the Dead, and then get that. Statues currently out. Perhaps trying to unsummon, unsummon an additional Altar of Darkness. That may be enough here. Archmage down to the southern side. Going to try and clear out this Forest Troll High Priest for 32 minutes into this game. And still no clear victor yet. Deathnote, 22 supply compared to 36. Obsidian statues need to provide more mana to that Dreadlord. The Dreadlord is going to have enough for an Infernal and plenty of Carrion Swarms. Oh, there is a sleep right there. Ghoul quickly going to get taken down. Carrion Swarm ripping on through. Are we going to see, well, I thought an Infernal would have dropped down from the sky already. Not quite sure why we haven't seen that yet. And now we're going to turn back around. There's a Devour Magic going after that target as well. Are we going to see there's another sleep? Goblin Alchemist could be in some serious trouble. There's an Infernal, Invul Potion transferred over. Archmage now could be in trouble. Healing Spray trying to keep the Archmage alive. Archmage trying to mass teleport away and ends up getting taken down. Archmage falls at level 6. Goblin Alchemist most likely going to fall as well. And that is going to be the game. Deathnote holding on until the very end. But the Destroyer... perhaps being able to devour magic, do a little bit more damage. Also, just simply the amount of mana that the Dreadlord had at the very end of the game, making a dramatic difference. Well, back-to-back Carrion Swarms, back-to-back sleeps, coupled with that Infernal potions of mana on that Dreadlord, and then being supported by that Obsidian statue. Let me know what you guys thought about this game in the comments below.